07 Commanders, Wyl Fearion here, leader of the Vortex Squadron. Today we're going to talk a little bit about fleet carriers, how you can get one, things like that, why they're useful, these sorts of things. So the first thing I want to start out with is that, yes, they are expensive. So they cost, the base is 5 billion credits. Now that sounds like a lot, but once you start doing certain things, you're going to notice that 5 billion is really not that bad. But it will take a little bit of time. Many different ways that you can go about getting that much money. For example, there is a community goal going on right now. And then that community goal, they are paying you 10 times the amount for cargo that you deliver. Certain commodities that you deliver, you get 10 times the amount. That's a lot of money, Commanders. You can put 5 billion together quite quickly. There was also recently a way to deliver 400 Soontil relics at a time to, various stations over, 160 light years away that would give you tons and tons of cash. I think at the last time I looked, it was down to 400 a run. And so it was roughly giving me where I was going. It was giving me roughly between 5 and 8 million a run, which isn't bad. That all adds up really quick, Commander. So there are ways. You can also do colonization and deliver commodities for not only yourself or other commanders, and you'll make money that way. Plus that delivering cargo right now is pretty much the best way to make money. And I believe a lot of that's got to do with what's going to happen when we get the Vanguard carrier coming out at the end of August. So if you want to make that money, you should participate in all these community goals. There's even a new one. We'll get to that one on Saturday on the live stream. We have a live stream every Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, -7 GMT. You guys are welcome to join, and we will talk about that other community goal that just started. The nice thing about having the fleet carrier is that you can load them up. Okay, if you don't have all the bells and whistles on the fleet carrier and kind of strip it down, you can make it into quite a formidable way to transport materials. Now you can get roughly 23,000 materials into a carrier if you do it right, and that is very helpful, especially with colonization. Also, the Panther Clipper, as you know, it's only available for ARCs at the recording of this video, but it's available. So today, I'm just going to do the game loop with a carrier, the loading the carrier. The unloading part will happen, maybe Friday or Saturday, we'll see. The loading part is probably the most interesting, and because it's usually the harder one of the two. To load up the carrier is a little bit harder than it is to when you get to your destination. If you're able to move your carrier right next to where it's delivering, then it's a little bit easier because of the way it unloads, especially with colonization, because colonization just takes everything all at once. So there's a lot of different options, Commanders. I'm not going to cover them all today. Today I'm loading the carrier for the community goal that's in Minerva at the Starlands port, and we're loading up the carrier now to bring a lot of materials over to Minerva and then unload them from my carrier rather than trying to source them all over the place. We should have plenty to do here. Matter of fact, I'll take a look right now, and we are looking at the commodities market, and what I'm picking up for these materials that I want is steel. And the reason I'm picking steel rather than CMM composites is because CMM composites are on ground bases, and I don't want to deal with ground bases right now. So I'm basically just loading up. I load her up, and then we go ahead and we pick our I usually just pick my destination, and then I go right back to the carrier, lock that destination, and auto launch. And basically it's just going back and forth. Yes, is it tedious? Yes it is. And it's also like, if you play some some good music while you're doing this stuff, that's the best way. It's the best way to kill the monotony of it. But if you have a Panther Clipper, you're going to be pretty excited when you see how fast those numbers go up. So, but if you don't, and you have either a T9 or a cutter, then it's fairly easy to do the same thing. It just takes a little bit longer because you have to make more trips. But we're going to head out, and we're going to go right back to the carrier and drop this stuff off. Another nice thing you can do is while you're getting ready to travel, depending on your engines. If they're not engineered, it's a little bit slower, but it still works. And the nice thing, especially if you get lined up right next to the port you're dropping off, you don't have to slow down. You can just go full speed ahead right to the destination, and you will not do a loop of shame. It's almost like you can't do a loop of shame. Now, if you hit the SEO drive, yeah, you can. But there you go. See how fast that was? And then we're just going to drop. And that was full throttle. And I'm also luckily lined up right with the top of the carrier, so that even saves more time. So we're just saving time all day right now. We're doing this. And then we're going to come down here, and then when I get close enough to the carrier, you can boost the Panther Clipper, man. I can't explain how awesome this thing is to drive, but if you've driven any of those bigger ships, there's little quirks about them that you get used to, but you don't got to get used to them with this thing, because this thing just acts like a dream. Does exactly what it's supposed to do. It does it, in a fair amount of time, and then it gets done. It gets her done, right? So then once I do this, then I can just unload here, and then I can go back to the other place and pick up more steel, because that's what I'm going to take to the Minerva. This load, I'm going to just load up. I don't know if I'm going to load up the entire carrier. That's going to take some time. I can tell you where we're at right now here in just a second. There you go. You go over to your inventory, you transfer, and then you transfer all. And now we're at almost 5,000 right now. Now, of course, when you get to the other end, you're going to have to unload it. But a lot of times, even if you have to park a system or two away to unload, it saves you a lot of time. Plus, I'm actually 700 light years from Seoul, so 7-ish, maybe a little over that. So it's literally two carrier jumps from where I'm at to get back. But I mean, you wouldn't be able to haul this material this far out without a fleet carrier, because it would just take you literally forever. We'll go ahead and we'll line her up again. We're just going to keep doing this until I get tired doing it. And then that's it. That's where we're at, Commanders. We are doing what we can. I want to make sure I stay in the top 50% or better in the current community goal, so I get those cargo racks. There's two there. I mean, if I stay in the top 75%, I'll get 2 Class 5 pre-engineered cargo racks, and I will get 2 Class 6 pre-engineered cargo racks, and then I can even have more storage in this Panther, which would be just amazing. This is a fairly unengineered ship. It has some engineering, but I always think that it's moving faster than it is. And now we're going. So we're going to do the same thing, full throttle. Right out of the gate, I'm going to zip back over there, right over to Stritchaker Stellar Vistas, then go back to the carrier again. So yeah, it is a little crazy. Now, for colonization, it's also really nice because you would have to, you can't usually pick up every single thing at these stations that are not the Trailblazers. You can go further and find a lot more materials out in the deep right now, because the boys that have been colonizing, they've not only been colonizing, they are making themselves materials. Like this guy, this filthy coiner guy right here, whoever station this is. He's a filthy coiner, but he's got like a ton of materials. You saw how many were in there. It was like 300,000-400,000 a pop for most of the stuff that you need to colonization with. And it just so happens that a lot of the colonization materials are also accepted at the community goal. I don't want to, go all deep in it, because this goal is mostly talking about fleet carriers and why they're helpful. They're really helpful right now because they're giving away money right now. And that's probably my guess is that they're trying to fatten up our wallets for when they release the Vanguard carrier. Now, if it's affordable, a lot of folks will probably there will be a lot of one-man squadrons out there, because everybody's going to want one. So, and if they're not affordable, nobody will get them. They'll just stick with the ones they got. So I guess there's a balance there of how far you're willing to go. Now, I wouldn't say you want to grind for the stellar unless you already have the money. I already have the money, so I don't care. There's a lot to unpack there. Like I said, if you were trying to carry this material that I'm carrying here all the way back to the bubble, it would take a heck of a lot longer. So they're really helpful. Plus, you get to bring all your stuff. You get to bring all your ships, all your parts. If you want, you can load up the carrier with all your stuff, and you can load up all your shit. As up to 40 ships, just like any other station. And it's great. So I used to be a naysayer on the whole carrier thing. So I get it. It's like, oh, I don't want that, But once you get one, you'll beat your head on the desk a couple times because you'll be like, God dang, why didn't I get this sooner? Anyway, that's how I feel about it. Well, like I said, we got a gig going on Saturday at 2 p.m. MST, -7 GMT, on this same YouTube channel. So please feel free to subscribe if you like, or just come by and visit. Say, hey, give me an 07. I'll give you one back, and we will talk then, Commanders. Until next time.